feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the great.
There was this one time when I was working my first ever job at a restaurant, bussing tables. At that point, I was trying to work on myself and to become more social. So I would speak to as many people as I could, and I would try to make as many friends as possible. So every day I would literally go up to someone and I'd be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Or, hey, how's your day been? And so 9 times out of 10, the people that I'd speak to would respond with, good. And then, like, that's it. That's all they would say. And so right after that, I could just hear the crickets. And right then and there, the conversation would just die. I would stand there, awkward, not knowing what to say next. And so I tried this over and over again, thinking that it was just them. Maybe these people were just boring, right? But no matter how many times I tried, I rarely ever got into a deep conversation. And it was at exactly that moment I knew something had to change. And so I decided to do some research. And so I started spending hours upon hours watching YouTube videos, studying Reddit, and going through questions and answers on Reddit. And I also even read a few books about building charisma and social skills. And after all of that time, I finally realized what my biggest mistake was. The problem wasn't actually that the people were boring, it was something else. The problem was the way that I presented myself. I didn't realize this at the time, but I was actually coming across as needy. Like I wanted to feel important and that I needed their validation in order to feel good about myself. And that was the exact moment that everything clicked for me. I wasn't giving off the energy of someone who was confident, someone who didn't need other people's approval. I was chasing it. That's when I started to learn how to be charismatic, to be able to walk into a room and have people notice me without even trying. I learned how to be more confident, funny, and respected without losing who I truly am. And so everything changed after that. If you want to be seen as someone who's confident, respected, and has the right energy to draw people in, watch the rest of this video. I'm going to share with you all the secrets that helped me to level up, not just socially, but in the ways that I interact with people and the way that I see the world as a whole. It's time to change the way people look at you. So if we want to become more charismatic, we have to level up our social skills first. That's the most basic fundamental thing we need to do. And the most effective way and the easiest way to do that is just by speaking to people more throughout the day. Just by saying hello or good morning to people 5 to 10 times a day is going to increase your confidence so much just by doing that thing. And as you do it more and more, the easier and easier it gets, and then it just becomes a habit. And so the thing is, we can't wait for other people to initiate conversations with us. We have to be the initiators. We have to be the change. Because most people are actually like you. They're not confident enough to walk up to other people and to introduce themselves. So we have to be those people. And that's also something that is super important within leadership. Leaders don't wait for other people to do things. They're the initiators. They're the ones that start the action, right? And so one of the most important parts of being a leader is being the initiator. And so we just got to start taking initiative and speaking to more and more people throughout the day. So after you start speaking to people and saying hello, how are you, stuff like that, the basic questions, right? And you get a little response. A lot of the times we don't really know what to do after we get that first level, right? We say hello, we introduce ourselves, and we just barely scrape the surface. So after we get comfortable saying hello to people, we can start good conversations just by asking simple questions or by making funny statements. I found that for me, doing these two things is one of the most effective ways to actually start an effective conversation. So for example, if I was in the gym, a casual question to ask would be, oh, do you know what time the gym closes? Obviously, I know what time the gym closes, but if I wanted an excuse to go ask or to go speak to someone, that's what I would say, and I'd just pretend like I didn't. Honestly, people aren't even thinking that much when you ask them that. They're just gonna try and respond to it. And so honestly with this, I would say you can even play it dumb a little bit. If I was out in the streets, I might know all of the good restaurants around the area, but I might go up and ask someone, oh, do you know any cool restaurants around here where me and my friends could go? Just because it's a good question to ask and it gets the conversation going. So honestly, it's totally fine if you play it just a little bit dumb, as long as you're not asking like a completely stupid question. The next thing we can go over is funny statements, right? For example, I've made it a habit of whenever I buy something at a store or I go to get coffee at a coffee place, I'll go and I'll ask, oh, the coffee is free for me, right? Just for me. Sometimes, like 7 times out of 10, they'll say no. But like 3 times out of 10, I'll either get a free coffee or like a really good discount. And so this isn't only a way to improve your charisma, but it's also gonna save you some money actually if you just make it a habit of asking for free stuff as a joke when you go to these places, right? And so that's something that's really helps me level up the amount of charisma and social skills that I have. Okay, so the next things we're going to talk about is the type of energy you need to bring and the type of mindset you need to have, right? These are 2 of the things that people mess up the most. And this is something that I really messed up for a while until I finally understood more about speaking charismatically. And so you want to make sure you have cool energy. You don't want to come off as needy, right? A lot of guys would literally walk up and be like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I really like your shirt. What's your name? Oh, we should go to the gym together sometime. And it's like, bro, calm down. I don't even know you. And so that's like the kind of needy energy that a lot of us just do without even knowing it. And I was a victim of this at one point. So something that's really going to help you with improving your charisma and improving your speaking skills and lowering the anxiety you have is just by having an abundance mindset, right? Every time before you go to speak someone, think this in your head. I don't need this person to like me in order to be happy in my life. And so I found that this really helps me just to calm down and to see the light in the situation. Because honestly, we just tend to overthink these things way too much. We tend to think that everyone's looking at us, that everyone's judging us, but the truth is, everyone's in their own real world and they don't really care. And another thing that I want to mention is speaking slowly and confidently. A lot of people, they'll walk up and when they're speaking to someone new, they'll speak at 100 miles per hour like this and they'll try to say everything at once and then they'll kind of mess up and then they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. And then you see how that comes off as? It's like they're so anxious, they're so in their own heads that they don't even realize like they're speaking way too fast for me to understand. So just take a breath before you speak to someone and just speak slowly and confidently and just enjoy yourself. Be present in the moment because it really doesn't matter what they say or what happens within the conversation because you're learning and you're improving. So a part of improving is just being bad at first, right? And then over time you just get better and better. And so that's another thing I wanted to mention was be light and don't take anything too seriously. And so honestly, I used to take things way too seriously and this made me seem like rigid. Like I wasn't even able to take a joke. But the thing is, the more relaxed you seem and the more relaxed you are, the more relaxed the person you're speaking to is going to be. So just make sure you have like a good, light sense of humor. Another thing I want to mention is speak less. You literally want to be more mysterious because people are going to find you so much more interesting if you're not an open book. And you don't even want to try to impress people. And so the key to this is to just do a lot less talking. Have the other person you're speaking to do most of the talking. Because think of it like this. Do you think the rich billionaire needs to talk about how much money he has constantly all the time? He literally doesn't even need to say a word. And people can almost sense that something's up with him. Something's different about him, the way he speaks, the way he looks, the way he acts. But there's a lot of people that they won't even say that. They'll wait there and just get the other person talking, right? They don't even need to say a word to get that respect. It's already there. And so we really want to just incorporate this same mindset. The mindset that we don't need to impress anybody. We don't need to tell the whole story of our lives in order to get respect from these people. We actually want to be more mysterious. And so the more mysterious you are and the less you can speak while getting the other person to speak, the better. And something I noticed that I did a lot back then was way overthinking anything, right? I would think, oh, he's crossing his hands like this. That means he's in a defensive body position and he's not trying to speak. Or, oh, he's doing, I would be way over analyzing things. And so the best way to counteract this is just by turning half of your brain off. Literally turn half of your brain off and just speak what's on your mind and just relax into the moment. Like be almost like the kind of dumb guy, right? That's there just saying whatever's on his mind, because that just seems a lot more authentic to people than you overthinking, oh, he's got his arms crossed, or, oh, he's touching his chin. That means that he's trying to, that kind of stuff. You don't need to really think about that, especially when you're in the moment. Just turn half your brain off and be as natural as possible and let things just happen and flow. And so now that we know how to level up our social skills, the next thing we have to learn is how to pass tests. Now, the first thing is, what is a test? Basically, people have been geared subconsciously to test how confident you are. This is just a thing that humans do naturally without even thinking, because it's built within our nature to test other people, to see how confident they are, to see if they actually are the person that they seem like. So examples of a test are like, bro, why do you dress like that? Or sometimes people would be like, oh, you look like a clown. And so these are both tests to see how you're going to respond to those things. And so the number one thing when you're responding to any sort of test is not to ever get defensive. Never get defensive, because that shows that what they said hurt you. It's basically letting them win, right? It's showing that, oh, he's not actually confident. He's getting defensive. And so there's 3 different ways to respond to these tests. And so the first way is cocky and funny. So a good response to that original question that I had was, oh, why do you dress like that? The perfect response, the perfect cocky and funny response to that would be something like, on Thursdays, the king can dress however he wants. This shows you didn't take it seriously at all. And it also shows that you're confident enough to call yourself a king. And so the next tactic is to agree and amplify, right? So if someone said, oh, you look like a clown to me, I'd say something like, yeah, I'm actually the strongest billionaire clown in the world. And so you see how it just completely disarms their insult and their attack. And it shows that you're confident enough to take the insults like that without even getting defensive. And so the third tactic for these tests is just to ignore. So if someone is like, oh, you look like a clown, and you just completely ignored it and say, how's your day been, by the way? It shows that you didn't even pay attention to what they said. You didn't even value what they said. And so I don't use ignore as much just because I don't like that kind of thing, right? Ignoring it and then not even acknowledging what they said, because they kind of catch on to that. But the first 2 are literally the easiest ways to deflect and to not take any of those things seriously, to take it as a joke. And that helps to show how much confidence you have in yourself. And so the last thing I want to go over is posture and social mannerisms. And so I used to have this weird like submissive posture where I was like leaning forward and my shoulders were rolled forward like this. And I'd kind of like keep my head down a bit. And over time I realized that I needed to change this, right? And so the easiest way for me to change my posture was to set a reminder, like my screensaver on my phone, right? You know how you can change your screensaver on your phone? So I would put my wallpaper on my phone as sit straight or stand straight or have better posture. And so every time I looked at my phone, I'd like overdo it a little bit, but it's okay if you overdo it, especially at the start. And so that would be like a constant reminder to sit or stand with better posture. And that's how I improved my posture within like only a few months, actually. And so you just want to make sure that you're standing tall and open, right? You're taking up space, that your shoulders are rolled back, that your chest is in a comfortable place where it's out a little bit, right? And you just want to make sure that you take up space. And also when we work on our charisma and speaking to other people, right, we want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward, that we're showing our best selves out into the world. And some people might think, oh, that's inauthentic, that's not who you truly are. But honestly, like, I don't go out farting in public, but we're all human. We literally all fart, but I don't do it in public. And so just realize that there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place to go fart and to use the bathroom. And there's a time and place to go out and be proper. And so it's not inauthentic if you're putting your best self out there. It's really not. It's just the time and place. There's a time and place for everything, and we have to realize that. So there's a part of you that dresses a certain way or dresses nicely, right, sometimes. And so we just really got to know the time and place to do those things. So always make sure that when you're out in a public setting, you're just putting out your best self. You're putting your best foot forward. You want to make sure that you're groomed well, that your hair looks decent, that your clothes is good. And you also want to make sure that you smell good and just look good overall. And so the way I dress is honestly very simple. I don't wear logos or shirts that say like text on them at all. I don't, because I wear the clothes that accentuates my physical features the most. And so the way I dress compared to other people my age is very mature, very masculine. And so that literally sets me apart from the crowd. And a lot of people literally think I'm 3 to 5 years older than I am, even though I have a baby face and I look young. And that's literally because of the way that I present myself in public. I don't act like some TikTok kid that does these weird things, and I don't dress like one either. And so I take a lot of pride in my appearance and the way that I act in public and socially. And so I'm sure I'm loud. A lot of the times I'm very loud in public, but I still present myself very professionally, and I dress that way too. Oh, something else I didn't mention earlier was having really good eye contact, right? If you notice in my videos, I stare directly at the camera every time I speak. I'm not looking over here, and I'm not, not making eye contact. You see how this is kind of like submissive behavior? How like I'm turning and I'm not really speaking to you directly. Versus if I look at you in the eyes and I say something, right? How much of a difference that makes. And so studies have shown that it actually increases your ability to connect with someone when you look in their eyes. So, I mean, sure, you can walk up and talk to someone like this, but it's just weird. Don't do it. Like, make good eye contact for 80 to 90% of the time. Like most of the time, I'm staring at the camera or I'm staring into someone's eyes when I'm speaking to them. So you want to make sure that you have really good eye contact. And so the last thing you want to do, this is just if you want to improve your social status game, right? And you want to improve your status overall, is when you're speaking to someone and you have the whole conversation and you actually enjoy speaking to them, just make sure to get their socials, right? This is just a quick tip that I wanted to add for you if you want to boost your status, to increase your status overall, and to speak to more and more people, and it's going to help you boost your status. So that's just a quick tip. And so if you've made it this far into the video, you're not like everybody else. You're the type of person who's ready to take control of your life. So stop waiting for someone else to hand you the keys to your own future. And here's the thing, watching this video is literally just the first step. What you do after this video, that's where the change really happens. You now have the tools to level up socially, to be confident, to be respected, to be magnetic. But none of that matters if you don't take action right now. Don't let this be another video that you watched and just forgot about. Take the lessons of this video that you learned and apply them today. Go out there, have the conversation, and change the energy you're giving off. And watch how people start to respond to you differently. And if you're serious about becoming the kind of person who leads by example, the kind of person who people respect without you needing to say a word, then scroll down and subscribe right now. This is just the beginning of your journey. And together, we're building something bigger, something stronger. And with your help, we're not just changing ourselves, we're changing the world one step at a time. So, are you ready? My name is Justin Nunley. You deserve the consequences of your actions.